I stare at the cartoon fish, dancing across the children's menu. The paper feels heavy, like proof of my failure. Across the room, crystal glasses sparkle in adult laughter. My mother's voice rises above the noise, graceful and cold. "Someone has to watch the kids," she says, smiling. My throat burns, but I manage a nod. Every eye seems to notice my exile. Evan and Melissa whisper, pretending not to stare. Camille laughs at something trivial, avoiding my gaze. The humiliation is a physical weight pressing down. A waiter approaches, polite and detached. "For the young lady," he says, setting a plastic cup of water. I almost laugh. The irony is cruel. 29 years old, but treated like an afterthought. I remember bringing Daniel once, my ex. Back then, I was seated with the adults. Respect borrowed from his presence, not earned on my own. Now, single means invisible. The logic is simple and suffocating. I force a smile for my nephew. He offers me a blue crayon. His innocence stings more than comfort. "I need to take a call," I whisper, standing. No one stops me. Of course they don't. Their conversations continue, seamless without me. I walk toward the hallway, heels echoing on marble. Each step feels like peeling off an old layer of obedience. Outside the dining room, the air is cooler, clearer. I take out my phone and type fast. "They sat me with the kids." Lynn's reply arrives instantly. "Get out of there. That's not love, that's control." Her words strike hard and true. I glance back at the glowing chandeliers. Through the glass, my family looks perfect. A painting of unity. But I know the cracks underneath. The endless comments. "When will you settle down? Don't wait too long. You'll understand when you have children." Each one small, but together they built a cage. I've spent years polishing my achievements to fit inside it. Graduated top of my class. Built a 7-figure business. Bought my own apartment. Yet all they see is what's missing. A ring. A man. Validation from someone else's surname. The anger comes quietly at first. Then stronger, pulsing behind my ribs. I picture returning to that table, pretending nothing happened. Smiling, shrinking, laughing at their jokes. The thought makes me sick. I open a rideshare app. The driver will arrive in 6 minutes. That's enough time to decide who I want to be. The obedient daughter. Or the woman who finally chooses herself. I straighten my shoulders. The reflection in the glass meets my eyes. No apology left to give. When the hostess asks if I'm leaving early, I nod. "Yes," I say, "I have better company waiting." Outside, the night air feels like freedom. Cool, sharp, honest. I breathe in deeply for the first time all evening. Somewhere behind me, the family celebration continues. But I already know my place. It isn't at their table anymore. The bar is dim, golden light spilling across the worn wood. Lynn is already there, swirling wine in her glass. I slide into the booth, my hands still trembling. She studies my face before speaking. "So, what did they do this time?" I laugh, short and bitter. "They sat me at the children's table." Her eyes widen, then narrow with disbelief. "You're joking." I wish I was. I tell her everything, from the invitation to the plastic cup. Every detail burns as it leaves my mouth. Lynn doesn't interrupt, just listens. When I finish, silence stretches between us. Finally, she sighs. "They don't see you, Thu, not really." I stare at the wine bottle's reflection. I've spent my whole life trying to make them proud. "And they keep moving the goalpost," she says softly. "Graduates succeed, buy a home, and still it's not enough." I nod. They only respect women who are married. It's like my achievements expire without a husband's approval. Lynn leans forward. "That's their problem, not yours." "Try telling that to them," I mutter. "They act like I'm incomplete." She laughs quietly. You're too whole for their comfort. The words sting and soothe at the same time. I remember the family dinners. The pitying looks. The questions disguised as concern. Maybe they don't mean harm. Maybe they simply don't know another way. But ignorance still hurts. Lynn pours more wine into my glass. You have to draw lines through. Otherwise, they'll keep shrinking you to fit their world. I run my thumb along the rim of the glass. What if setting boundaries means losing them? Then you'll finally see who's worth keeping, she replies. Her voice is calm, unshaken. I envy that certainty. We talk about childhood memories. How my mother once told me success without marriage is loneliness. How my father called my business a hobby. Each memory feels sharper in the retelling. Lynn shakes her head. They don't understand that independence isn't rebellion. I just want respect, I whisper. That's not too much to ask. It's everything, she says simply. The truth hangs in the air, heavy and undeniable. For years, I chased their approval like oxygen. Every compliment, every nod, a tiny breath of validation. But tonight, I'm realizing something else. Approval is a leash, and I've been holding it myself. Lynn raises her glass. To cutting the leash. I smile, faint but real. The first honest smile of the night. I clink my glass against hers. To freedom, I echo. The wine tastes different now, less sweet, more alive. Outside, the city hums with quiet resilience. And for the first time, so do I. The messages start before sunrise. Mom, Dad, my brother, my sister. Each one a variation of guilt and disappointment. You embarrassed us. Apologize and make things right. Family comes first. The words sting, but not like before. This time, they sound predictable, rehearsed. I put my phone face down and make coffee. Steam curls upward, soft and steady. I breathe with it until my pulse slows. When the doorbell rings, I already know who it is. My parents stand outside, perfectly composed. Mom's pearls glint like armor. Dad's jaw is locked in judgment. Can we come in? She asks, though it isn't really a question. I step aside and let them enter. The air tightens instantly. They look around my apartment, scanning success they never mention. Nice place, Dad says, but it sounds like an accusation. Mom crosses her arms. You acted like a child at dinner. I stay still, holding her gaze. You seated me with children, Mom. That's not the point, she snaps. Then what is? I ask quietly. They exchange a look, one I've seen my entire life. United, certain, unyielding. We just want what's best for you, Dad says. No, I reply, you want what's familiar. His mouth opens, then closes. Mom sighs dramatically. You're being ungrateful. For wanting respect, I ask. Respect is earned. I've earned it, I say, my voice rising for the first time. All my life, I've earned it. I gesture around the room. My work, my company, my independence. But to you, none of it counts because I don't have a husband. The silence that follows is sharp and brittle. Mom's expression flickers, something almost like shame. Dad shakes his head. You're twisting our intentions. I'm finally understanding them, I answer. For once, I don't feel like the little girl begging to be seen. I feel like the woman who no longer needs permission. Mom takes a deep breath. If you keep this attitude, you'll push everyone away. Then the ones who stay will be real, I say. Her lips press together in a thin line. Dad glances at the door. We won't stay where we're disrespected. Then we finally agree on something. They leave without another word. The door clicks shut behind them, soft but final. I expect to feel guilt, maybe panic. Instead, there's calm. An unfamiliar lightness. I lean against the wall, breathing deeply. The quiet feels like victory. Not loud, not triumphant, just solid. The kind of peace that comes after years of noise. I pour another cup of coffee. The taste is stronger now. No bitterness, only clarity. I look around my home, my work, my life. And for the first time, it feels entirely mine. I start treating my family like a project. Not with anger, but with structure. Every designer needs a plan. Every chaos needs a blueprint. I open a new notebook and title it Boundaries. Page 1, Rules of Engagement. No calls after 8 p.m. No guilt allowed in text messages. No conversations that begin with, "When will you?" I underline that 3 times. I track every interaction like data. What triggers me? What silences me? What makes me feel small? It's strangely empowering. Like mapping a house that's been dark for years. I schedule therapy sessions once a week. My therapist, Dr. Leon, has calm eyes and sharp questions. Why do you feel responsible for their emotions? Because I was taught to be, I admit. She nods. Let's unlearn that. Homework, write sample responses to emotional traps. When mom says, family doesn't take space from family, I'll reply, healthy families respect boundaries. When dad says, you're too sensitive, I'll respond, I'm just finally paying attention. Simple lines, rehearsed like armor. At first it feels fake. But repetition builds muscle memory. Soon, the words come naturally. I test them in small doses. A phone call on Tuesday. Mom asks if I'm seeing anyone new. I'm focusing on my company, I say. She sighs, disappointed. But I don't fill the silence. I let it sit, solid and unshaken. Victory, quiet but complete. The next step, emotional insulation. I move family notifications to a separate folder. Check them once a day, not every minute. Freedom expands in the space between messages. Lynn calls it emotional feng shui. She's not wrong. Every boundary cleans a corner of my mind. Evenings grow lighter, quieter. I cook, I read, I sleep without guilt dreams. But old habits still test me. One night, mom calls in tears. Your father is well, she says. The panic hits first, automatic. Then I remember my plan. Did the doctor say that? I ask calmly. A pause. Well, he's just stressed, she admits. I breathe out slowly. They're still playing the same game. But I'm no longer a piece on their board. I write a new line in my notebook. When manipulation fails, truth begins. Each page feels like progress. Dr. Leon says boundaries aren't walls. They're doors that lock from the inside. You can still open them, if it's safe. I like that. It feels adult. It feels free. By the end of the month, I've built my plan. A schedule for calls. A script for pressure. A life that belongs to me again. The blueprint of peace, drawn in ink and intention. I close the notebook. For the first time in years, the silence around me isn't empty. It's mine. The invitation looks harmless at first. Owen's birthday party, Saturday afternoon. Just family, just cake. I tell myself it's safe. I even buy him a model building kit from Germany. A small promise kept between aunt and nephew. But when I arrive, something feels wrong. Too many cars in the driveway. Too many voices inside. I knock, and the door opens before I can breathe. My mother stands there, smiling too wide. Perfect timing, she says. Behind her, the entire family waits. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all of them. An ambush in disguise. I clutch Owen's gift tighter. He runs to me, innocent and excited. Can I open it now? He asks. Before I can answer, Dad's voice cuts through. Not yet. Your aunt has something to say first. My heart sinks. Of course. The intervention. The air feels thick with expectation. Mom folds her arms. We just want to clear the air. What air? I ask softly. The one you poisoned, she snaps. The room goes quiet. I glance at the exit. Camille is standing near it, blocking the path. Even Evan avoids my eyes. The betrayal burns, slow and deep. I set Owen's gift on the table. I came to celebrate him, not debate my worth. Dad rises, his expression stern. You owe this family an apology. For what? For disrespecting us. I asked for respect, I say. He steps closer, voice low but sharp. You don't walk out on family. I walk away from humiliation. His jaw tightens. Mom's eyes glisten, practice tears. You've broken your father's heart. The guilt lands, heavy but brief. Then I remember my therapist's words. Their feelings aren't my responsibility. I'm sorry he's hurt, I say calmly. But I won't apologize for choosing myself. Gasps ripple through the room. Someone mutters, unbelievable. I keep my tone even. This isn't love. This is control dressed as concern. For a moment, no one moves. Then Aunt Lan crosses the room to my side. Her presence shifts the air. Finally, someone sees me. Dad frowns. You're leaving again. Yes, I answer. He steps in front of the door. Not until you show some respect. I meet his eyes without flinching. Respect isn't obedience. Owen's small voice breaks the silence. Please don't fight, he whispers. Tears prick my eyes. This isn't your fault, buddy, I say. I hand him the wrapped box. Happy birthday. Then I turn to Dad. Move or prove me right. For a heartbeat, no one breathes. Then he steps aside. I walk out, spine straight, heart pounding steady. Behind me, voices rise in confusion and anger. But I don't turn back. The sunlight outside feels fierce and clean. Every step away is a promise to myself. Never again will I sit at their table just to be small. Never again will silence buy me belonging. Freedom has a sound today. My heels striking pavement like applause. They show up on a quiet Saturday morning. No warning, no text, just the familiar knock. I open the door, calm but guarded. Mom stands there in her beige coat, flawless as always. Dad beside her, hands folded, eyes sharp. Can we come in? She asks. I step aside, keeping my distance. They scan the apartment again, like it's foreign territory. This has gone too far, Mom begins. You've turned the whole family against us. I take a slow breath. I haven't turned anyone. They chose their own opinions. Dad's voice cuts in, low and cold. You disrespected us publicly. I defended myself privately, I say. Your version of respect is obedience. Mom sighs, soft but manipulative. We raised you better than this. I meet her eyes. You raised me to succeed, not to surrender. The silence feels heavy but clean. For once, I don't feel it. You don't understand, Dad says finally. We only want what's best for you. What's best for me, I reply, isn't yours to define. His mouth tightens, but he doesn't argue. Mom looks smaller now, less certain. You really think marriage isn't important? She asks. I think it's not the measure of a person. Her gaze flickers toward my framed awards. The magazine article. The photo of my completed project downtown. I didn't realize, she whispers, that these things matter to you so much. They matter because they're mine, I say. They exist because I built them. Dad shifts uncomfortably. You've done well, he admits, quiet but real. I should have said that sooner. Something in me softens. Not forgiveness, but understanding. Mom clears her throat. Will you come home for Christmas? That depends, I answer. Will I have a seat at the adult table this time? Her lips twitch, almost a smile. Of course. I nod slowly. Then maybe. We stand in an uneasy peace. Not healed, not whole but honest. When they leave, the apartment feels different. Lighter somehow. I sink onto the sofa, shaking but proud. I didn't win. I didn't lose. I simply stood my ground. Later that week, a text from Mom arrives. Saw your feature in the paper. Well done. 5 words, but they land softly. Progress in lowercase. Lynn calls that evening. How did it go? Better than expected, I say. Worse than ideal, but real. She laughs. That's how change starts. I look around my quiet home. It doesn't echo anymore. It breathes. 6 months ago, I would have chased their approval. Now I just live my truth. The boundaries are still there, firm and fair. And for the first time, respect feels mutual. I close my laptop, glance at the city lights. Maybe love can survive after honesty. Maybe freedom can include family. I don't know yet. But tonight, peace feels enough. 6 months later, the city glows under winter lights. My apartment hums with laughter and soft jazz. Friends fill the room. The family I chose error and message stream retry.